And today our adventure begins right here at the International Gateway into World Showcase in Epcot. Sitting here looking at the Skyliners cruising along here. Absolutely beautiful morning here at Walt Disney World. Well, good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitch Hiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Me and my wife actually ventured into Epcot today to do some stuff, eat some food, have a little lunch. Actually sporting my Epcot 82 t-shirt. Love this shirt, so awesome. But today's vlog is going to be a little walk and talk as we're going to walk from here, from Epcot, all the way over to where you would enter into Hollywood Studios. So along that walk, we're going to look at some of the resorts along the way, and I want to talk to you a little bit about our recent vacation. It is sadly coming to an end today, so I'm going to get you up to speed a little bit, talk about some of the things I filmed and what's coming down the pipeline of videos. All that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We got some cool stuff to talk about. Okay, I've made my way over here to Crescent Lake. As you can see, a friendship boat making its way over there to the Boardwalk Resort here at Walt Disney World. And you can actually take that boat from Epcot and it will take you all the way over to Hollywood Studios where we're headed today. But yeah, it normally will make stops over here at the Beach Club Resort, and right over there is the Yacht Club Resort. And then right over here in front of us you have the Swan and Dolphin, which actually this is the Swan and this is the Dolphin right here. So yeah, so we're going to continue on toward Hollywood Studio. And speaking of Hollywood Studio, let me tell you about what I got into yesterday. At the time of this recording, it is May 5th, the last day of my vacation. But yesterday was May 4th, and months ago my wife said that, hey, I want to go on another cruise. And I looked up some times to go, and I said, hey, we can go right here at the end of April. And I thought, how cool would it be if we go on the cruise, and then on the way back, since we're driving all the way to Fort Lauderdale, we can drive up to like Orlando, Disney World, and I can finally get to go to an event that I have always wanted to go to before. I'm talking about May the 4th Be With You, which is like a Star Wars event here in Hollywood Studios on May the 4th each and every year in Galaxy's Edge, which is like their Star Wars land. They have this big meetup of all these Star Wars nerds, and man, everybody comes together, and a lot of people dress up and like cosplay, and they have their lightsabers and everything. And I was shocked. There was a lot of old school fans there, a lot older than me, which made me feel a little bit more comfortable. There was fans there of the original trilogy, so I fit in well with them. I had some good conversations throughout my day while I was here. Now, I had to drive from Fort Lauderdale all the way up here, which was like a 4-hour and about 20-minute drive, give or take. So it took me a while, so I didn't get there earlier in the day. But toward the end of the day, we finally made it down there and was able to partake in the insanity that is Star Wars Day. So when we got in, my wife, we started looking for like pins and things like that. We wanted to get a pin and maybe a t-shirt, and everything was pretty much sold out. It was a little bit frustrating. So at that point, my wife started doing a little bit of researching, because when we got into Hollywood Studio and we couldn't find anything, we found out really quickly that they had like virtual queues for all the merch. I mean, you couldn't just go in there and get anything. And then she found out over at Disney Springs, which is a shopping area close by, that they had plenty of merch. So we went over there and was able to buy the same merch that they had in Hollywood Studios. So I ended up getting a cool pin with Grogu on it, and then I got a May the 4th Be With You t-shirt that has like the Mandalorian on the front of it. And I'm sure the reason they picked those two characters is because they have a new movie coming out later on this month, or right now. By the time you watch this video, it's probably already out. But that was really cool to be able to get the merch I wanted, just to show that I at least attended and I was there, because they only sell that stuff at that one specific time of the year during May the 4th. All right, so once we got our merch, we decided to leave Disney Springs and head back later that evening over to Hollywood Studios. And oh my goodness, we had no idea what we were in for, because it was Star Wars overload. And my wife is a trooper. She hung out with me. She hunkered down. We made it back to Galaxy's Edge, and we got inside and we're like, oh, this ain't too bad. It's crowded back here, but it's not too bad. In the outer parts of Galaxy's Edge, they actually shut down the entrance from Toy Story Land to come in, and you could only go in back there next to Star Tours in that area where Muppets used to be. And my goodness, it was like the further you went toward the Millennium Falcon, the crowder it got. That's when they started shutting people down and letting only so many people at a time through. And we finally got in, and then when we could see the Millennium Falcon from a distance, but we couldn't get to it. They had made another barrier because they said they had reached capacity. Holy moly. And they did too. They wasn't kidding, man. They were so many. You couldn't fit another person in there in front of that Millennium Falcon with a shoehorn. I mean, it was absolutely like a Kiss concert. I mean, it was just waves of people. But instead of pumping their fists, they had lightsabers, up in the air. And it was just unreal. And we finally made it up to the line to get in, and we was hearing people saying, oh, you need to make a reservation for one of the restaurants or something, or a ride, get a fast pass, and they'd let you in. And so when I walked up there, I just happened to tell the woman, I said, there's a ride back there called Smuggler's Run. Can we do the standby line? And she goes, yeah, come on in. It was like, that was the hack, and me and my wife just wiggled right through. And we didn't really want to go ride Smuggler's Run. All we wanted to do is get a little bit closer and just see the insanity at a closer, just wanted to be in the middle of it. And man, we did. We got down there in the middle of it, and my wife was like, she looked at me once we made it out of that craziness, and she said, I love you, but next year or any other year you want to come down here and you want to do this thing and make a video about this whole experience and really get in the middle of it all the way to dark, where everybody takes all these cool photos with the lightsabers and everything in front of the Millennium Falcon. I mean, we're talking thousands, hundreds if not thousands of people with lightsabers. You're gonna have to do it by yourself. She said, I'm gonna go somewhere else, and I will TikTok, or I will do whatever else, and you can come back here and take on this madness and have fun by yourself. Because me, she's talking about herself, she's like, I can't roll. I can't do this. This is too much. So a little fun fact about us making it back there. We told that woman, like, yeah, we just want to do standby on Smuggler's Run. Honestly, if we would have known the actual wait time was only 20 minutes, we probably would have just did it. But the thing is, I don't even know if we could have got to the queue line, because it was so crowded. There was so many people. But it was only 20 minutes. We just missed it right there. We were so overwhelmed with the amount of people. We didn't even look to see how to get to the standby line. All right, so I think that will pretty much wrap up May the 4th be with you experience. And it was wild and crazy, and definitely is something that I won't write it off for the future of not doing it. It is something that I think that could be a lot of fun. Now, next up, something that I got to do today that was so much fun. Back in January 2025, they closed down one of our favorite rides at the Magic Kingdom. It was called Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And I got really lucky because we showed up to the park this morning and around about 11 o'clock or 10:30, somewhere in there, and we found out that Big Thunder Mountain has a soft opening. It's been closed down and going through a refurbishment for the last, I don't know, 15, 16 months. It's been quite a while. And we was so happy when we went in there and they was letting people ride, and we got to get on and ride the ride. And man, they've done a whole refurbishment on the track. They took all the old track up and put new track down, and they added a little extra magic throughout the ride itself. So some of the extra magic that they added to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad that I noticed, other people that's ridden it more times than I am, they're probably going to notice smaller details. But for me, I noticed that at the beginning of the ride, when you're going up the lift hill, if you look off to the right, they have like bats. And then right when you pass the little bats and they're squeaking and everything, you will see like you're inside of a cave, a mountain cave, you know, and the lighting in there was changing like rainbow colors and all that type of stuff. And then it just went red, you know, it was like an explosion goes off. And then there was other sections of the ride where you would notice like gold, traces of gold was like fragmented into the cave walls on the second lift hill. So there was little things like that, and like there's a big old like explosion with music, you know, at the top of one of the lift hills, and it reveals this big gold nugget, you know, and it's toward the very end of the ride, and how the music is synced with that was really, really cool. Unfortunately for my ride, the ride stopped and it kind of broke down momentarily. So it kind of killed the illusion that they was going for me. But I can see, like, if everything works smoothly, how that's supposed to work. And it ain't really a big deal, because all in all, it is a soft opening. There's going to be hiccups. You know, we're kind of, you know, just lucky people that happen to be there that day to get the test ride, more or less. It's not really official yet. So all in all, I think it was a lot of fun. They took a really great ride, and I felt like they made it a little bit better. You know, they just added a little stuff here and there, and the track was amazing, how smooth it was. And it was smoother, and for whatever reason, maybe it's been because it's been since January 2025 since I rode it, it felt a little bit faster, which I think smooth equals fast. So I think that definitely makes sense. But it did not take away from any character of the ride itself. If you've ever rode Big Thunder Mountain, it still swings you around the corners like an old mountain train and stuff like that. And it's still got that wildness to it, because it is the wildest ride in the wilderness. Okay, so we have almost made it. Right there is Hollywood Studios off in the distance. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but you can actually see the tops of the rock formations off there in the distance. That is Galaxy's Edge. That's where I was yesterday when all the wildness of May the 4th be with you was unleashed upon me. And it really, really was unleashed. It was like the Force unleashed. And it was a bit sweaty in there, as you can imagine, with all those people dressed up in all those hot robes and everything. I don't know if I could do that or not. That was wild. They were very dedicated. Man, I tell you one thing, walking along this pathway from Epcot to Hollywood Studio, you will see quite an abundance of these signs right here. Danger, alligators, and snakes in area. Stay away from the water. Do not feed the wildlife. And I agree with that statement 100%. You know, being around a coastal community, as much as I have seen my fair share of snakes and alligators. Any of you guys just recently watched the Southport video that I uploaded. We actually seen a snake, a little wildlife in that video. And look at that bird down there. He's kind of just walking along there. He's going to get him a fish is what he's going to do. You can guarantee that. Those guys are great fishermen. And right here is the bus parking lot for Hollywood Studios. As you can see, those two Figment buses side by side right there, and a Mickey Mouse bus right above that one. Yeah, man, I have definitely got a fair dose of Disney in general over the last week, being here at Disney World, and just recently getting off the Disney Destiny ship, which was pretty fabulous in its own right. As I make my way down here a little bit closer now to this bird. Look at this thing. This is like a nature channel. We're getting real close. Look at this guy. That is one long neck, right? He's just creeping along. He's going to get behind this bush, and we're not going to be able to see him momentarily. There he is. What's up, fella? Look at him. That is too cool. And off into the distance is the Hollywood Tower of Terror, which is a very lovely place to ride their elevators. Their elevators are a lot of fun, as long as you don't mind being dropped and pushed up and down really fast and just scared out of your wits. It is themed around the Twilight Zone, so if you're a fan of that, you ought to go give that a try sometime. I've rode it once, and not a big fan. I actually was kind of duped into that one. I love roller coasters, and I like things fast, but they've always been something about a platform ride that drops, like a drop zone or something like that. And that is double trouble, because that thing, you sit in the elevator and it goes up several stories really, really fast. However how many stories that thing is. I think that building is 299 feet tall or something. And the reason they didn't make it 300 is because if they would have had to put a light on the top of it, like for aircraft. So Imagineers wanted to make it look more like a hotel and not like a ride. So they made it just below whatever that footage was, where they didn't have to put a blinking light on top of it. But my goodness, it is terrifying. It was for me anyway, because it's just up and down. You go up so many floors, you stop, a door opens, you look out at everything, how high you are, then the door closes and it drops you several stories. And then it goes back up, it goes back down. You never know what floor you're going to stop on. It was just like, when the ride was over that day, my wife said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I had like 10 heart attacks. I'm great." All right, I made my way down here to the Skyliners. Boy, if my niece knew what I was doing right now, she'd probably have a bit of a fit. She loves the Skyliner. That is like one of her favorite things to do, is just ride on that. And it's free for anyone who shows up. That has nothing to do with a park ticket. You can come here and ride the Skyliner from different parks and resorts and get a good view of Walt Disney World. And it really is a lot of fun. It feels really good. You would think it would be really hot in those things, but no. They have these vented windows, and you're moving fast enough where you really get a good airflow going through there, and it gets quite breezy on the inside of them. And it feels really, really nice. So I think all that being said, my friends, that's going to pretty much wrap it up today. We had a great time. I do have one video coming in the future due to the cruise itself. We actually I filmed a video when I was at the island of Eleuthera, and I take this cool little hike down to this old early 1900s lighthouse there on the island on the very tip, and there's some cool stories about pirates down there, and cool little historic little spot, and really, really beautiful. It has this very like secluded beach. It's kind of a hidden place. I was on this little beach all by my lonesome. I was like the only one that went down there, and it was amazing. And it was literally a postcard type of a picture, and some of the video footage I got down there was unbelievable. That will be released in the coming days or week or so. So all that being said, I'm done today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you on my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. And so long from Walt Disney World. I don't know what we're going to get into later on this evening, but I'm thinking a little bit of relaxation, maybe a little swimming pool time before we head back to North Carolina tomorrow. Have one last little swim. I'm kind of digging that. Sounds like a good plan.